This podcast is brought to you by Penji. Penji is a creative subscription service that gives you access to pre-vetted, agency-trained creatives from all over the world. From graphic design to illustrations to social media management and web development, it's all included for one monthly price. It's time to say goodbye to the hassle of searching for top-notch creative talent. With Penji, you get quality and consistency delivered right to your inbox every day, carefully crafted for you by humans. So meet your new creative team today. Head over to penji.co for more and enter the coupon code located within the podcast show notes.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the First 100 podcasts. This is the podcast where we're going to be exploring the journey of entrepreneurs, business owners, agency leaders, and so many more people as they share with us the strategies, the challenges, and the triumphs that have led them to secure those first 100 customers. I'm very excited today because we have a very special guest, Matt Fiel. Hi, Matt. How are you?
Hey, good. I know it's recording, but it's actually pronounced file.
File. Okay, sorry.
No,
Yeah.
that it's with the way it's spelled, the way you said it is grammatically right, but my family came over, something got miscommunicated, and we're pronouncing it incorrect.
Good to know. No, yeah, I've mispronounced a bunch of names, so my apologies. But Matt
No, we're good.
Fileman, very happy to have you. To break the ice a little bit, as we get started, can you tell me a little bit about yourself, what you do, about Penrod and all the stuff, so that our audience can also get to know you a little bit better?
Yeah, of course. So I'm the EVP of marketing here at Penrod. So what I focus on is our go-to-market strategy. I'm a one-person marketing team, so that involves a ton of different things from strategy to tactics. So understanding what industries we're going to play really well in, what our visual brand should be, what our voice should be like, and then taking that into more tactical things, everything from web development to copywriting, to visual design, graphic design. So I wear a lot of hats as a one-person marketer, but I really do enjoy being able to tie together the strategy with the actual tactics that we're doing.
Amazing. That sounds like a lot of work. So
Yeah, it is.
yeah, it's amazing that you can, like, handle all of that yourself. Now, Penrod is a very specific type of work. You always work in a very specific type of industry. You really niche down, and what you focus on mostly would be like the sales part of the healthcare industry, right? So, how did that come about? How did that sort of start and where did that focus shift to? Like whoever, built this and how did this come to?
Yeah, so it was started about 11 years ago. I started around 5 years ago. And you're totally right that when people think of Penrod, they really think of Salesforce. And Salesforce consulting is a really competitive space. So around the time that I was starting, we were asking ourselves a question about where we wanted to be in the future. And that was, hey, within this Salesforce niche, what are we actually best at doing? And we looked into the projects that we were really successful with. We looked into where we had the most growth potential. And really, like, it came down to where we could tell the best stories about the work we'd done with Salesforce. So really what we could have done is we could have said, hey, we're going to focus on different product specializations, right? Like, we're going to focus on different Salesforce products like Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, or Marketing Cloud. But what we actually ended up doing was we decided to do something a little different, something that's not seen in this consulting space too often. We decided to differentiate ourselves by focusing on one single key industry, and that's the vertical of healthcare and life sciences. So, like, this decision doesn't come without risk, because by committing to healthcare, we were really making a deliberate choice to literally turn away certain opportunities by focusing on that specific industry. So things like banking, things like automotive, things like media and advertising, those are all industries that use Salesforce. But we decided to, hey, we're just going to focus on healthcare and we're going to do it really well. And as a marketer, I can tell you it's really challenging in those early days to disqualify a promising lead that had a solvable pain point simply because they didn't align with our industry focus. And that moment of actually, turning business away is really I'd say the true litmus test of choosing to honor your long-term strategy instead of chasing a short-term win. And that's where a lot of companies fail. So our belief is that in the Salesforce industry, like deep industry specialization really is going to create authenticity when you're telling stories. So when your expertise is laser focused on just one sector, your marketing is going to become a lot more effective. And, you know, healthcare companies have unique challenges, and Salesforce isn't a one size fits all solution. So that focus on the healthcare industry really helped us differentiate ourselves from everybody else.
Amazing. Which actually, I was going to ask you about this because you were focusing so much on like, you niche down to the healthcare industry. And I wonder what actually happened when you did this that differentiated the marketing strategy that you were doing to stand out. Because, like you said, the Salesforce world is very competitive. I mean, it's sales, right? Like,
Yeah.
it's difficult to compete. What did Penrod do to try to stand out?
Yeah. So really it was like at the time I started, the website we had was pretty high level and generic. So had reference to a ton of different industries on it. Um, was speaking at a very high level. So if somebody came in who was a Salesforce user, we were hoping that the copy would resonate with them regardless of what industry they were in. But what we did was we made a real concerted effort to change all terminology to really just focus on presenting ourselves as an expert in healthcare versus just a Salesforce expert. And if you go to our homepage, um, I forget how long it's actually been like this, but literally just says Salesforce solutions for healthcare. So when somebody comes to the website, it's very clear what we do. And it's also very clear if somebody's not in our market, they know that we're probably not a good fit for them. But if somebody is in healthcare and they use Salesforce or want to grow their business with Salesforce, they know immediately that this is a partner who's going to understand the challenges I face on a daily basis. So yeah, the changes we made were really just making sure that everything we created was hyper focused on healthcare.
Amazing. And I actually also want to ask you, you mentioned earlier also that you guys had the best stories to tell when it came to specifically the health industry, right?
Yeah.
Um, what aspect of marketing did you, or what role, I guess is a better question, did storytelling actually play in the marketing strategy for something so technical like Salesforce implementation? I think, it can be a very technical thing. And it's really easy to fall into a pattern of speaking a lot of buzzwords. So I wonder how did you sort of put in that storytelling aspect into it?
Yeah, and there's a ton of buzzwords from that technical perspective. And not only from that, like even from the more storytelling perspective, there are a lot of buzzwords that I even fall into the trap of using. So like and a lot of people do like efficiency and digital transformation. Things of that nature that can mean a lot, but really don't mean anything in the end. So, storytelling plays a big role because not everyone we work with is technical, especially during the sales process. You might have people who are just in charge of processes within the healthcare industry, and they're not really aware of like all the technical terms that you would speak to say like this is how we would actually implement Salesforce. So in that way, like technical terms, they can feel really abstract and they can feel overwhelming if you don't understand what they are, especially if they're coming one after the other during a sales discussion or in any marketing material you're putting out there. But a good story is universally relatable between technical and non-technical roles alike. Like the idea of storytelling is something that resonates with everybody. So when our prospects come to us with pain points, I guess most of them are going to deal with like how they manage their data. So they might manage their data in something like a spreadsheet, locally on their system. It's not shareable. Um, other teams can't use it. It might get out of date. They might be updating it manually. They have trouble reporting on their outcomes. Um, so throughout the engagement funnel, when we actually engage with these people from awareness to consideration, to decision, we really do use storytelling to show how we solve these challenges to different personas. So, like to use an analogy, I guess in storytelling, um, some people are drawn to different genres. So some people might like romance, some people might like sci-fi, some people like horror. Um, so the way you tell a story, different stories are going to resonate with different people depending on their role. And I guess internally here at Penrod, uh, the way we refer to storytelling is kind of like how we craft a vision around the challenges that we solve. So really it's about like making sure that we paint a good picture of what their current state is and then showing what the ideal state is. What could they achieve? And then connecting the dots with the roadmap of how we're going to get there, not necessarily with the technical information of actually how we do it, but just a description of that bridge between pain that they're facing and the ideal solution that they could reach with Salesforce and the work that we do.
That's amazing because I also think it's super powerful. I mean, when I think of myself as a consumer for random things, like not even just like something high level or like business wise, but just like if I'm buying a t-shirt at Target or something, I am like the type of person that is I need to see what it looks like. You know what I mean? I need to
Yeah,
see in which setting would I wear this shirt? Is it gonna match my other clothes? Is this like, it's like and by seeing other people integrating a certain object or service or whatever it is that I'm purchasing into their lives and seeing it work well, I'm more inclined to purchase it than if I'm just like buying something blindly. So like that's kind of like where I think storytelling is really important.
absolutely. And I think that, we're at Penrod, we're in B2B. So we focus on selling to businesses, but I do think, like you said, there's so many things that you can correlate with more of a business to consumer type of model that you experience every day as a consumer. Like I just bought a new keyboard and bought it on Amazon. So they have for most of their products now the augmented reality feature where you just
Oh,
you know
yeah, I know.
you want to see how it looks in your space, and I'm like, oh, it looks pretty good. I think I'm gonna buy it. Um, so yeah, thinking of ways within the B2B context that we can apply principles like that, not necessarily like this is literally how it's going to look with AR in your setup, but showing them
Yeah.
very quickly how it's going to look, so that they can visualize it, visualize the enhancements, visualize how it's going to help them on a day-to-day basis. So
Yeah.
connecting emotionally is really what it comes down to.
Yeah, obviously, it's different with the B2C and, like, when you're buying something dumb like a shirt, like, I like the example that I gave, but it just kind of, like, reminded me of that feeling of, whether you're a business or something, when you're thinking of using something or purchasing something, you wanna sort of see how it's gonna benefit you, and a lot of times, the best way to see that is through other people's experiences of success than by just having, like, someone tell you, like, "Oh, yeah, we're great," because obviously the person trying to sell the product is gonna always tell you that it's great.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. And another way we do that is with success stories. So we tell a story of what a client who's similar did so that people can put themselves in their shoes and say, yeah, I was in that place and this is how this company helped them get out of it.
yeah, for sure, and I actually wanted to ask, specifically because your marketing, is very sort of focused on reaching emotionally to the people that the businesses that you're trying to reach to. I know that you guys also focus on healthcare manufacturing, right? So like you do healthcare industry in general, but you also do manufacturing for the healthcare industry. Does this create a sort of change in the way that you are doing a marketing strategy or is it universal?
Yeah, it does a little bit because I'd say each use case that we solve, across, like you mentioned, healthcare in general, which is more like your traditional hospital or healthcare provider versus the manufacturing sectors, which could range from medical device companies to pharmaceutical companies. The use cases that you actually solve within those are very distinct because they, like we talked about B2B and B2C, they have different models too. So, that provider hospital model is almost like a business to consumer type of relationship where they're actually, marketing and working with patients, people like you and me. Whereas the manufacturers are more like a B2B perspective, where they're actually selling into other businesses. They might actually be selling into healthcare providers and hospitals. So you really are like focusing on different use cases. So On one hand, providers are focused on patient relationships, and then medical device companies might be more focused on things like supply chain efficiency, partner relationships, scaling their operations with like shipping out devices or medicines and things like that. So we really do try to leverage our marketing to focus on those use cases. So I guess like between those industries, the core idea of creating a vision really remains the same. Um, Showing our prospects where they are today, where they could be, and then how we're going to help them get there. But the actual narrative of how you tell that story is going to change depending on the industry. So with a provider, you might use something like compliance as a main driver because they're very focused on compliance, and that honestly drives a lot of the demand for what we do. Um, and that's going to be reflected throughout all of our marketing materials, whether they're case studies, use cases, different campaigns, webinars, uh, things of that nature.
Interesting. Yeah. No, I was curious, but I think like it's interesting that the heart of it is still the same. I mean, and
Yeah.
I think because it's also still within healthcare, it's obviously going to stay similar, which actually I leads me to the other question that I wanted to ask you, which is, I mean, it's a bit of a topic change, but I want to ask about lead gen.
Yeah.
Um, Lead generation is probably one of the hardest things. Podcast is called First 100, right? Because it's about how did you start to actually see productive leads coming in. You spoke about it a little bit at the end when you were saying like you had to turn down really promising leads in order to focus on the healthcare industry, which I want to know what did you guys do when you decided to sort of do this Salesforce focus on healthcare? What was the most effective channel to start generating leads, to actually start to see a good number of people coming in, and why was it that one?
Yeah. So, the reality is we are in the consulting business and we focus on a specific platform and a specific ecosystem. So, in that way, like alliance channels are hugely important to our business. Um, and I'd say the other two that are really important are organic, like search engine optimization. So, that involves thought leadership and focusing on the right keywords that people are searching. Um, and then a third, like good channel for us are paid ads. Um, so in terms of organic search, that really involves writing the right content around the right search terms. And for us, we are a very niche company focused on, a single product within a niche uh, vertical. So the trick really is finding among those niche keywords that people are searching for, terms that have relatively low difficulty to rank with relatively high search volume. And, within this industry, that search volume is never in the thousands. It's going to be, maybe below 100 per month. But if those are people who are highly relevant to your business and you can get them to click into your website and tell a good story, like those are exactly the type of people that you want to come in and work with. Um, like I said, like another lead generation channel that's big is alliances. And a big reason for that is because of our focus within the Salesforce ecosystem, which is a massive ecosystem with a great company like Salesforce, and then also great companies. We call them ISV partners who are going to create basically add-ons into the Salesforce platform that help companies achieve different things. So it might be like document creation or contract signing or forms that allow patients to fill out and schedule appointments. Um, so leveraging those alliance partnerships is a big part of our success for sure. And then thirdly, with Google Ads, um, I found that Google Ads is a really good way to find in-market audiences, um, as long as you're focusing on the right keywords. So again, like we're a niche company. So sometimes people who are searching for things like, I just say Salesforce implementation, like 6 years ago, that would have been a very relevant search for us because we implemented Salesforce across all industries. Now that we focus specifically in healthcare, I'd say like 90% of the people searching for that are outside of our target market because they don't they don't search by revealing what industry they're in. They don't search like Salesforce implementation for healthcare. They're still just searching Salesforce implementation. So the real trick of it is finding the keywords that do show what industry they're in, so that you're not overpaying for a bunch of traffic that you're never gonna work with because they're not a great industry. So yeah, those are basically the three main, I think, and most successful lead gen drivers for us. Our alliances, that organic search engine optimization, and then also paid ads.
Yeah, no, like I think with something that is very specific, it's better to have quality than quantity. Um,
Yeah.
I've spoken to a lot of business owners and podcasts who have told me that one of their biggest mistakes when starting marketing and lead gen and things like SEO and all of these things, they were targeting the wrong people
Yep.
because they were trying to get as many people as possible on like social media channels, whether it was digital, whether it was through Google Ads or whatever. And then none of them were actually converting because they had to like sort of learn through the process that it was more about, if you're getting 20 people going to your website, even if that feels like a low number, if it's 20 people that are worthwhile, it's better than 100 people that are just looking.
Yeah, like I guess an example I always talk about is, ever been to like a restaurant that has a confusingly large menu?
My
And
god, I hate those. I've
you
always given
know,
that example too.
I just want maybe a good burger. So, but they have, absolutely everything on this menu. And there's no way that they do it all really well.
Yeah,
Um,
no. Just
so that's kind of the analogy I use for Penrod, in that, if you want a good burger, you go to a burger place. If you go to a place that makes everything, like, the burger's probably not going to be great. So
yeah, it'll be an okay burger at best.
yeah, it'll be okay, but I want a great burger. So
Well, Matt, I wanna ask you one last question, before I move on to a fun game that I have for us. Because I think Penrod is, like we spoke earlier, such a technical niche, or niche. I don't know how people I thought it was niche, but I heard you say niche, so now I'm
oh
wondering
boy,
how
maybe I'm pronouncing it wrong. I always thought it was like, either way was fine, but maybe we have to edit that, right?
I don't know. I might just leave it for the fun of it.
Okay.
If anybody watching knows, please tell me.
I don't
So,
know. It might be a Midwest. Like, I'm from the Midwest, so I don't know if it's a Midwest thing,
oh,
but
maybe. Yeah, it might be like an area thing. It
yep,
might be me because I'm not a native English speaker, so I just like, I will mispronounce things probably.
yeah,
Yeah. But my last question was, with like such a niche industry and such a technical focus, how do you balance the technical content and the technical messaging with approachable messaging to also connect with stakeholders, with potential customers, with potential clients? I think a lot of people think that in the B2B industry, technical language is better because it's B2B. But I think that approachable messaging is always important, right? So I wonder how you guys have been able to do that.
yeah. You're right about that. Um, but I think like we said before, like, just because it's B2B, it doesn't mean that the person you're speaking with is going to be technical. They might be really well versed in the processes around the problem that they're trying to solve, but when you start speaking about the technical ways that you're going to solve it, that might not resonate with them. So I think, like, for me, messaging is always going to depend on the audience you're talking to. So I do think there's still room for technical marketing when you're talking about certain personas within B2B. It's just that you need to strike the right balance. So that really goes back to your question about storytelling. And I think for non-technical audiences, storytelling is going to create the strongest emotional connection uh, between the pain that somebody is facing and then the solution that you actually are proposing for that. So, if you go to our website, penrod.co, you're going to see that at a high level, like when you're first introduced to what we do, most of it is very high level and very approachable, because I think that's more universally understood, whether you're technical or not. everybody's going to understand it, especially if that message is as simple as possible. But then, as you dive deeper into the content, we do have certain content that's really driven towards those more technical personas because they might view the technical side as how you're creating credibility. Like, if they understand the technical ideas behind it, when we express that and we show that we understand it, they understand that we're very credible Salesforce implementer. Um, so I think you really just have to make sure that you're creating content for a wide range of stakeholders. And one way that I do this is I actually document all of the content I create in a spreadsheet, and that's shared across our organization. So anybody from delivery to sales, to product marketing to marketing, that they can really take a look at that spreadsheet and say, this is all the content we have. And then I actually categorize it by stage in the sales funnel that it should be used within, like whether it's awareness, whether it's consideration or decision. Um, and then also, which stakeholder is this actually intended for? Is it intended for somebody who's an influencer in the project? Is it intended for somebody who's more technical? I think it gives people a really good insight into the content we have, what it is, what it's supposed to be used for. And, that just eliminates a lot of work for me to have to continually share the content with people when they ask where it is. But then also the other good thing is it gives me a really good way to figure out where we have content gaps. Because I can literally create, in Excel, I can create a pivot table that says, hey, like this is the amount of content we have for this particular offering in this particular sub vertical for this particular audience. And I can say, hey, we don't have a ton of technical content around this. This is something I need to put on my backlog to create. So yeah, I think there's a room for, the technical side within the content. It's just that, as you're at the top of the funnel in the awareness stage, you really have to be more broad in how you're describing yourself. Because if you're too technical there, you're definitely going to drive away a segment of your audience.
No, amazing. Yeah, like balance is key. I think there's a space for all of it. Matt, now we're almost out of time. It's been great talking to you today. But before I let you go, I do have a game prepared for us.
Okay.
Um, so no more marketing questions, no more business, no more Penrod. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna ask you silly questions. There are 20 of them, and I'm gonna put a timer on my phone for
Oh,
1 minute, and we'll see if you can get through all 20 questions.
okay.
I don't know how competitive you are, but I'm gonna put a little pressure on you. I always do. Nobody has been able to get through all 20. Everyone fails at like 15. I think that's the most we've had.
What's the
Okay.
lowest? Because I might set a record for that.
I think the lowest has been like maybe 8 or 9.
Okay.
So, yeah, nobody has gotten more than 15, and we'll see how many you can do.
Okay.
And my advice to everybody who wants to win, if you don't have an answer immediately, lie. Just say whatever comes to your mind, even if it's not true, just so that you can win. But if not, then go ahead and take your time, but I'll go ahead and ask these questions, okay?
Okay.
All right. Coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Early bird or night owl?
Early bird.
Favorite social media platform?
LinkedIn.
Go-to karaoke song?
Crazy train.
Books or podcasts?
Podcasts.
One word that describes you.
Genuine.
Dream vacation destination?
Japan.
Most used app on your phone?
YouTube.
Favorite emoji?
Smiley face.
What's your hidden talents?
I can write music.
Go-to comfort food?
Shrimp and grits.
Superpower you'd want for a day?
Wine.
Who inspires you for the most?
My wife.
What's your guilty pleasure?
Eating too much.
If you weren't doing marketing, what would you be doing?
I'd be writing music.
Time.
Oh, how many did we get through?
You actually did pretty well. I thought because you were like saying you were gonna do worse and you did 14. So
Oh,
you're
nice.
right up there.
Nice.
Yeah, you did really well. So congrats. I
Oh,
mean,
thank you.
still no winner. I don't know what I'm gonna do when I get someone to
Oh,
actually do all 20. I probably should give them a prize.
yeah. Yeah. That would be probably a good idea.
But you did really well, Matt. So thank you so much for doing this. Now we're almost the podcast is almost over. We're almost done, but I do want to give you the space to plug anybody that you want to plug, if anything or anybody that you want to plug right now. If you want to tell our viewers to go and find you, if you want them to find Penrod, if any of the stuff that you said resonated with anyone, the floor is yours to promote anything.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you're in the healthcare industry and you're looking to um, fix manual processes, Penrod's a great Salesforce partner to do that with you. So just head over to penrod.co and take a look at what we do.
Awesome, yeah, and I will be adding the links for this at the description on the description of this video. And everybody watching can go and click on it. And for the ones that are just on the listening, go to the video and click there. And thank you so much, Matt, for doing this. Everyone else, I will see you on the next episode.
Yeah. Thanks, Daniela. Have a good day.
Have a good day.
Bye.
You've been listening to Fully Managed, brought to you by Penji. Check out the show notes to learn more about today's guest, and to learn more about Penji, the human-first creative subscription service, head over to penji.co. And by the way, if you're still listening, it would mean the absolute world to us if you were to share this podcast with a friend, and of course, subscribe.